Will be more tough questions for Judge Bork on civil rights and such key issues as abortion. Linda Tyra, CNN, Capitol Hill.
The Teamsters union says it's fed up and it's going to fight back. That story when Headline News continues.
What's new?
Well, it surprised me, knocked me out with coconut. It surprised me, show me how you really do it up. You sweet talker, Betty Crocker, craze and amaze me. Leave me tiny rocky road. You sweet talker, Betty Crocker, take me over the rainbow. Just when I thought I'd seen it all, look what you go and do. Betty Crocker, you sweet talker, you.
Introducing Lee Sculptured Nails. Long-lasting like luxury salon nails, but affordable because you do them at home.
Lee Sculptured Nails. Affordable. But are they easy?
Like nothing you've ever used before. If you can polish your nails, you can do it. Glue on an extension.
No form.
Brush on the overlay.
Like nail polish.
Smooth shape and polish.
Lee Sculptured Nails are easy.
And long-lasting like salon nails. Plus, they're affordable.
Lee Sculptured Nails.
Who else but Lee?
Somewhere in your home is a tiny space, barely the width of a finger, but large enough for one of these to slip through. Now there's the new Have a Heart mousetrap. Simple to use and non-poisonous. Safe around children and pets. Have a Heart from Victor, part of the Victor line of pest control products. At Victor, we never stop building the better mousetrap.
Buy this stylish pair of pumps at Kmart, and we'll give you this matching pair. Your choice, any two pairs, just $15. This week only at Kmart, America's favorite store.
Wake up as if you didn't have an allergy, with no sneezing, clear eyes, wide awake. Dimetane Extend Tabs gives you all-night relief that's still working in the morning when you need it most. Dimetane Extend Tabs, part of the Dimetane family of allergy relief.
Negotiators for the United Auto Workers and Ford probably aren't getting much sleep. The two sides are expected to spend the night bargaining on a new contract. The union is keeping its 104,000 workers on the job on a day-to-day basis after extending a contract deadline late Monday night.
We don't really want to strike, you know. I don't.
I didn't think a strike was necessary. Wouldn't have proved anything.
Nobody wants to see a strike, but if a strike comes, brother, Ford's has got a strike on their hand because we are United Auto Workers. We're going to stick together because it's time for them to give back to the workers what rightfully belongs to the workers.
About 10,000 Canadian Chrysler employees are on the picket lines instead of the assembly lines. That strike over pensions began at midnight Monday. The walkout immediately affected auto workers in the United States. Plants in Illinois and Michigan shut down, causing more than 2,000 layoffs. The Teamsters union is banding together to fight a reported takeover attempt by the government. Several thousand members met in Cincinnati yesterday to devise a plan of attack. Eugenia Halsey reports.
The one-day rally was the start of a slick media campaign by the Teamsters to build support for their besieged organization and get the Justice Department off their backs.
In Poland, they have to be controlled by the government, but not in this country. This is not Russia. This union's going to win.
Earlier this summer, reports surfaced that the Justice Department, in an effort to rid the Teamsters of corruption, was planning to file suit to place the union under a court-ordered trusteeship, an action speaker after speaker here, including several presidential candidates, likened to that of a communist or fascist regime.
This is the American trade union movement. This is not solidarity behind the Iron Curtain. If there are charges against individual Teamsters, let due process take its course.
The government's attempt to take over the Teamsters would be patterned after successful government takeovers of 3 Teamsters locals and comes in the wake of a 1985 report by a presidential commission that the Teamsters' national leadership is dominated by organized crime. It also follows the convictions or indictments of more than 100 local Teamsters officials, including current President Jackie Presser and former boss Roy Williams. But Teamsters supporters, including Republican presidential candidate Jack Kemp, the son of a truck driver, say a takeover would be too drastic.
It shouldn't take over newspapers, it shouldn't take over schools, it shouldn't take over corporations, and it shouldn't take over unions.
Members of the rank and file agree.
I think it's a bunch of baloney.
Let's face it, if they start taking over this and start taking over that, and pretty soon you've lost your freedom that you fought for, that it's supposed to be.
Teamsters officials say this meeting is just the start of their activities, that their campaign could last anywhere from 6 months to 5 years, depending on what the government does. Eugenia Halsey, CNN, Cincinnati.
An unusually early snowfall has chilled tourist activity throughout Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park. Drifts up to 2 feet high forced the closing of some mountain roads. 4 inches of snow fell overnight on Mount Evans, about 40 miles west of Denver. Firefighters in California are worried strong winds could fan fires still burning in that state. The flames have charred more than 500,000 acres. Greg Lefebvre reports the cost of the fires is staggering.
The fires are still not over, and they have already burned more than $500 million worth of timber and watershed. The cost of fighting the fires has zoomed past $100 million. There are 2 new hazards this week, increasing winds and deer hunters. The warm, dry winds are back, giving firefighters nervous fits about their tenuous grip on the fire lines. Deer season opens Saturday. About 250,000 hunters will take to the western woods, which are now at the peak of the fire danger season. Beyond the scars on the landscape, psychologists say many of the evacuees chased from their homes by the fire will suffer lingering emotional problems.
If fire burned down and all of our possessions were gone and things we loved and prized and cherished, obviously we'd feel some sort of grief, some sort of mourning, some sort of difficulty that we would have in trying to put our own lives together.
Firefighters spend days away from home battling the fires day after frustrating day.
After a couple tough days of steep country, you get a little tired, worn out.
I left a husband and my mom and dad, and my brother probably what I miss the most.
Fishermen in the $100 million salmon industry are especially worried about the future of the lakes and streams in the heavily damaged Klamath and Shasta Trinity National Forests. Winter runoff from the fire-blackened hillsides will muddy streams and raise water temperatures, reducing or wiping out one of the West's largest salmon spawning grounds. Foresters who thought they'd seen it all when Mount St. Helens blew down 148,000 acres of timber now face ravaged lands more than 5 times as great. Greg Lefebvre, CNN, San Francisco.
Headline Sports is next.
This man is not a company president. He's not a vice president.
They're waiting for you.
While his face is well known to everyone from the security guard to the summer intern, his name doesn't appear on the company phone list. Yet he controls the productivity of this office, down to the last sheet of paper. And we think that's a serious problem. Because business should depend on a copier that works, not a repairman. Rico, copiers built to work and work and work.
I'm tired of hearing this. Marijuana can mess you up. We've been smoking for 15 years. Nothing's ever happened to me. I didn't get into all the drugs. I didn't start stealing, mugging people. It didn't make me do anything different. In fact, I'd say I'm exactly the same as when I smoked my first joint.
Eddie, did you even look for a job today?
No, Ma. I called him this morning.
Marijuana can make nothing happen to you, too.
Do me a favor, crack one of these windows for me, okay?
Tonight, John Ritter takes his part-time job seriously.
I got excited.
Who is Captain Avenger, the man?
It's me, Steve Nichols.
Sworn to defend justice and punish the bad guys.
Oh, he's such a nice boy.
Who says nice guys finish last? Hero at Large. 8:05 Eastern on the Superstation tonight.
Super Sports on the Superstation.
Braves versus Padres, 10 Eastern tonight.
It's 19 minutes past the hour. Time for Headline Sports.
I'm Tom West with Headline Sports. The Cardinals still rule the roost in the National League East. Vince Coleman's run-scoring double capped a 4-run second, and St. Louis held off Philadelphia 4-3. A big win for Whitey Herzog's crew because the Mets are keeping the heat on. Keith Hernandez got 3 hits, including his 2000th, and New York crushed the Cubs 12-4 behind a 16-hit assault to stay a game and a half out of first. The third-place Expos dropped 3 back. Pittsburgh's John Cangelosi stole home in the 4th for the game's first run. The Pirates went on to a 5-1 victory. It wasn't the Bengals and Falcons in Atlanta, although the scoreboard looked like a Sunday in the NFL, with the Reds' Dave Parker homering twice and becoming the first Cincinnati player in 32 years to drive in 8 runs. The Reds romped 21-6. Dale Murphy hit his 39th and 40th homers for the Braves. The Astros turned a triple play but lost. The first-place Giants continue to pull away in the West Division. In the American League, still a tie for first atop the East. Toronto beat Baltimore 6-2. Lloyd Mosby with a homer and a triple. He drove in 4 runs. Meanwhile, Detroit pulled off Boston 9-8. Red Sox rookie Todd Benzinger hit his first career grand slam. It was the Yankees edging the Brewers. The White Sox topped the West-leading Twins. California ended a 4-game losing streak. Oakland's Jose Canseco hit a 3-run homer in the top of the 9th to beat Texas. Rookie Mark McGwire also hit his 44th and 45th. And Cleveland beat Seattle. In Hamilton, Ontario, the Canadians and Soviets were tied at 5 in the third and deciding game of the Canada Cup Finals. With a minute and a half to play in the third period, the Canadians wheeled out with a 3-on-1 fast break that ended with Mario Lemieux's 11th goal in the tournament, giving Canada a 6-5 win. Tom West, Headline Sports.
This is Sandy Kenyon with the Hollywood Minute. Stakeout once again topped the box office charts over the weekend, having earned more than $46 million in 5 weeks of release. Dirty Dancing held its number 2 position. No Way Out remained at number 3. The Big Easy stayed in 4th. And La Bamba once again rounded out the top 5. If Betty Davis has her way, she'll star with Elizabeth Taylor and Katharine Hepburn in Steel Magnolias, a proposed film based on the hit off-Broadway play. Davis said Monday that despite a stroke several years ago, she wants to continue acting. We're all hams, she said. We love to be working. This is Sandy Kenyon with the Hollywood Minute.
In the headlines, Supreme Court nominee Robert Bork goes back to Capitol Hill for a second day of questioning. Soviet Foreign Minister Edward Shevardnadze holds a second round of arms control talks with Secretary of State George Shultz. Pope John Paul meets hundreds of U.S. bishops in Los Angeles today and later joins First Lady Nancy Reagan in a visit with school children. And the European space industry gets a badly needed boost with the successful launch of an Ariane rocket. Those are the top stories. I'm Wally Kaiser.
More news after this.
Manager of the Mets has days when his pitcher and his stomach balk.
Can't believe he walks a leadoff batter.
Which is why Davey keeps Rolaids nearby. Rolaids antacid is serious medicine that consumes all the acid required to bring millions 100% relief.
I hope he doesn't throw him a fastball.
And on days filled with errors and frankfooters, Rolaids relief is what's needed most.
I should have gone into golf.
Get serious relief. Get Rolaids.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Tonight, John Ritter takes his part-time job seriously.
I got excited.
Who is Captain Avenger, the man?
It's me, Steve Nichols.
Sworn to defend justice and punish the bad guys.
Oh, he's such a nice boy.
Who says nice guys finish last? Hero at Large. 8:05 Eastern on the Superstation tonight.
Giving dollars and cents to charities may be falling out of vogue, but as Deborah Marchini reports, some colleges are working to refill charitable coffers.
Charitable endowments help pay the salaries of 8 professors on Georgetown University's main campus here. But philanthropy is one subject that's been absent from the course bulletin until now.
We're seeing a generation seemingly come into corporate power, into institutional leadership roles, who have very little consciousness of that kind of sense of social responsibility and the role of philanthropy.
This semester, for the first time, Georgetown grad students will be able to take a seminar in philanthropy. An undergraduate course starts in the spring. That course, fittingly, is made possible partly by a charitable grant.
The goal is to get philanthropy into the mainstream of American thought.
6% of America's workers are employed and paid by nonprofit organizations. All told, Americans gave more than $76 billion to charitable causes last year. 94% of it came from individual donations, corporations kicking in just 6%. Not surprisingly, one of the 16 educational grants went to the country's largest business school, New York's Baruch College.
The business students in particular should know about the phenomenon that philanthropy represents, since as they become businessmen, they will become very important players in the nonprofit world.
Educators say they'd be pleased if their students became chief executive officers and donors. And to the extent that they do, their colleges will have learned an old and valuable lesson. Charity begins at home. Deborah Marchini, CNN Business News, Washington.
You might call Mark Kostabi an artist in name only. He gets paid thousands for works he doesn't create. Jeannie Most asked the question, is this modern art?
These are paintings by Mark Kostabi, a rising, or at least twinkling star in the art world. But you don't see any paint on Mark Kostabi's hands. Even as he plays the piano, another of his paintings is taking shape in the next room. Someone else is applying the paint, and there's a good chance this woman conceived the idea. But when it's finished, this canvas will be called a Kostabi, and it will sell for as much as $10,000.
The most successful artists, it's obvious that they have assistants executing their work, but they always downplay it. And I say, why downplay it? Why not only admit that you have people doing the work for you, but take it a step further and hire someone to think up the ideas.
Kostabi's trademark is the faceless, sometimes headless figure. He used to paint them himself, but then he decided he could produce more with a little help. So he advertised for assistance. Inventive artists wanted to provide ideas for Mark Kostabi. Diana Gentleman answered the ad and gets paid $8 an hour to sketch ideas.
They're ideas of mine, and they're drawn in a style that Mark can use.
And sell. Ron Feldman is the gallery owner who represents Mark Kostabi.
He recognizes talent in others. And so he has advertised, and then hired an incredibly talented staff, and they're much more talented than he is.
It's a fabulous painting. This is completely conceived of by Diana and executed by Claude.
But it will sell as a Kostabi. Some collectors have expressed concern about whether they've purchased genuine Kostabis, while others seem eager to own his more, shall we say, collaborative works. What part of a Kostabi is Kostabi's?
Well, all of it is his and none of it is his at this particular point.
In time, I have a suspicion that he is a second-rate artist.
It doesn't matter whose work it is, and as long as it gets done and as long as it's great.
But it's called a Kostabi.
Yeah, I don't mind.
In today's art world, the name is the game, regardless of who painted what eventually gets framed. Jeannie Moe, CNN, New York.
I'm Lynn Vaughn. This is Headline News.
Next, it's a wacky collection of characters on Tom and Jerry and Friends, followed by the down-home humor of the Beverly Hillbillies, coming up on the Superstation.